What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the channel, dude. It feels like I'm beating a dead horse at this point with the iPhone SE 2, but this is the 500th video I've done of it. But again, you have to remember, every single day that comes out, there's more and more news that comes in. Obviously, I'm making renders at the same time. They all kind of coexist together. So every time some new news comes out, obviously, I have to address it. And just a couple of days ago, we saw that Apple put out their second quarterly report for the year of 2019, their fiscal year of 2019 at that. And we actually saw a revenue that actually went down percentage-wise 17% for the iPhone sales. Now, I worded that completely weirdly. Basically, iPhone sales went down about 17% in terms of revenue. So I don't know, maybe they could have sold more devices, but the weird thing is back then I was thinking that because they're increasing prices, they could technically sell less devices, but I guess that kind of backfired because they're even making less money now, even though their devices are more expensive. So first of all, Apple, decrease your prices for your iPhones. That's the first thing. But second of all, this kind of shows that Apple will potentially, they would have to listen to their market share, listen to their consumers, and they would need to do something else to increase their revenue basically at the end of the day. Now, obviously, this is all alluding to the iPhone SE 2 and them releasing it hopefully soon. But here's the thing you have to remember. From this point on, the next iPhone release that we are expecting is the one in September. That is the next iPhones. Those are the newest iPhones we're going to be getting. So you're telling me from just sheer marketing, Apple will have to stand from now until September to keep trying to sell the iPhone XS, the XS Max, and the iPhone XR. I'm telling you right now, most likely, if they're going to rely on that aspect, their revenue is going to go even more down than this. And maybe they're okay with it. Maybe they want to shift their focus on something else. But for them to kind of just look past the specific niche market that specifically want a newer iPhone SE, and that's going to be taking a toll on their revenue. And they're already kind of seeing it now. I don't think this drop in revenue has anything to do with the iPhone SE or the newer iPhone SE being released. But I think this kind of shows a demand that people aren't really wanting to upgrade their phones because their older ones can do everything that the newer ones can do. So if Apple makes something that kind of incentivizes people, like, hey, we know you didn't want to get the newest one or whatever and the biggest one, but here's an updated internal refresh of an iPhone that we wanted, or even an external refresh as well. We priced it lower too, so now you have a little bit more variety to choose from. I feel like that in and of itself would not only make people want to upgrade, but it will also help in Apple's whole revenue dropping situation. Because think about it, like I said, Apple will only have to keep selling the XS, XS Max, and iPhone XR until September when the newer iPhones come in. And who knows, maybe those are going to be a flop as well. But if I had to take a stab at it, if I was Apple, I would definitely release some phone in WWDC. They're already getting so many eyes, so many focus points there, all this free marketing. They might as well drop something there too. And I was saying before that Apple could possibly, I honestly think the SE2 is going to happen, but I thought it was going to come next year because kind of make a little bit more sense because iOS 13 is probably going to be the last update for the iPhone SE. So I could technically see Apple kind of releasing one there to kind of take that spot. But if Apple releases it next year, then the revenue is still going to fall for this year. And I don't think Apple is going to be comfortable with seeing iPhone sales drop in terms of revenue quarter after quarter. And their investors are not going to feel so happy about that either. So that could be one reason why Apple could technically release it in this fiscal year. And obviously they would need to have some type of update to spur the iPhone sales, and I'm unsure if iOS 13 can do it in and of itself. I know I kind of emphasize that software is super important, but it seems like, as far as I know, all iOS 13 devices are going to have somewhat of the same features. Maybe things will change in the future with iOS 14 or 15. Hopefully, the newer iPhones, if people are going to spend money on them, hopefully they can do something that the iPhone 6s can't. But I'm not necessarily saying the 6s should be limited in features either. I'm just hoping the software will be amazing. And with the iPhone SE 2 being released, I'm sure it'll be able to handle everything that the newest devices can run as well. It should have the A12 chip, 3 to 4 gigs of RAM, maybe Touch ID, maybe Face ID. We really don't know at this point. There's so many conflicting reports. But ultimately, some type of refresh. And honestly, at the end of the day, I would definitely see how it would make more sense for Apple to release it now in 2019 rather than in 2020 in order for them to increase the revenue for this year. And if they're going to release an iPhone SE 2 in September, that would just make things even more difficult because people would have way more devices to choose from, and it would just kind of get a little bit more confusing if they kind of sprinkle a little bit here, a little bit there. I know that's kind of a weird analogy, but if they kind of spread things out a little bit, that can kind of keep that revenue kind of churning a little bit for a little while until the September event, and then they can kind of, ball out there if they're going to do as big of a refresh as people are saying and claiming they are. But man, in my opinion, I think if I had to say it, the iPhone SE 2 should be released this year at WWDC, especially after these earning reports came out. It only makes sense for them to do that. For iPhone's revenue to go down this much quarter after quarter, it's a big eye opener, and Apple should listen to their consumers. We want an iPhone SE 2, and hopefully we can eventually get it. So that's pretty much all I have to say. If you guys do have any questions or anything, leave it down in the comment section below. Hit that like button, that'll mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. Every single subscriber that we get really does count, so it means so much if you guys could hit that. Also, check out the other links down in the description as well. My Twitter, my Instagram, my second channel, all those links are linked down below. I would really appreciate if you guys could check it out. But more importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.